Edward Lewis is a rich businessman. One night, he goes to a fancy party hosted by his lawyer, Philip Stuckey. During the party, Edward calls his girlfriend. She tells him that she doesn't want to be at his beck and call anymore. Edward tells her that it is a very important week for him and that he needs her to be with him for several business meetings. But she refuses, and they break up. Edward is working on a big deal with Morse Industries. If the deal works out, it will make a lot of money for everyone involved. Edward wants to leave the party, but his car is parked far inside the parking garage. Instead of waiting for it, he takes Philip's silver Lotus Esprit. Edward is not good at driving a stick-shift car. While trying to drive back to his hotel, he gets lost. He ends up in the red light district on Hollywood Boulevard. As he drives slowly and struggles with the car, he stops to ask someone for directions. He sees Vivian Ward, a prostitute, standing on the street. He asks her for help. Vivian sees that Edward cannot drive the car well. She offers to drive him to his hotel if he pays her. Edward agrees, and Vivian drives him to the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills. When they reach the hotel, Edward is surprised by how confident and funny Vivian is. Even though she is very different from him, he likes talking to her. He decides to ask her to stay with him for the night. Vivian says yes. At first, things feel awkward between them, but after some time, they start to feel more comfortable. That night, they sleep together in his hotel suite. The next morning, Edward asks Vivian to stay with him for the whole week. He explains that he has many important business meetings and social events to attend while trying to buy a shipbuilding company owned by Jim Morse. Edward says he wants someone with him the whole time. He tells Vivian he needs her to be at his beck and call, but he doesn't want any emotional connection. After they talk, they agree that she will stay for 1 week, and he will pay her $3,000. He also gives her extra money so she can buy clothes that are suitable for the events he will be going to. Vivian calls her roommate, Kit, to let her know that she'll be leaving money for their rent. The night before, Vivian had learned that Kit had spent the rent money on drugs because she said she needed a little boost. Even though Vivian was upset, she still wants to help Kit. Vivian then goes shopping on Rodeo Drive, a well-known shopping street in Beverly Hills, to buy nice clothes. She walks into a fancy boutique, hoping to find something good. But the women working there look down on her because she is still wearing the clothes she wore the night before. They treat her badly and refuse to help her. Feeling hurt and embarrassed, Vivian returns to the hotel. When she walks in, she is stopped by the hotel manager, Barney. Barney, the hotel manager, speaks to Vivian in a polite but serious way. He tells her that the hotel is only allowing her to stay because Edward is a very important guest. He wants her to understand that this is not something they normally allow. Vivian feels hurt by his words and also worried, because she still doesn't have a proper dress for the fancy dinner. Seeing that she is upset, Barney decides to help. He arranges for someone to take her shopping for the right clothes. He also gives her lessons on how to act at a formal dinner so that she can feel confident and prepared. That evening, when Edward comes back to the hotel, he is surprised and impressed by Vivian's new look. She is wearing a beautiful dress, and she looks very elegant. Edward takes her to a business dinner with Jim Morse, the owner of the company Edward wants to buy, and Jim's grandson, David, who will take over the business in the future. At dinner, the Morses are kind to Vivian. They like her because she is kind, honest, and has a sweet way of talking. But the dinner itself does not go well. The Morses do not like Edward's plan. Edward wants to buy their company and break it into smaller parts to sell, but the Morses want to keep the company whole and protect their workers. That night, after the dinner, Edward talks to Vivian more openly. He tells her about his job, how he makes money by buying companies and selling them, and he also shares details about his personal life. He tells her about his father, and how they had a bad relationship before his father passed away. Vivian listens quietly and begins to understand him better. The next morning, Vivian tells Edward what happened to her the day before, how the women in the store treated her badly because of how she looked. Edward is upset by this and wants to do something nice for her. He takes her shopping again, this time at the best and most expensive stores. He spends a lot of money so that she can have a beautiful wardrobe. The store workers treat her with respect, and she starts to feel proud and happy. Vivian then goes back to the first store that had refused to help her. Now, wearing expensive clothes and looking confident, she tells the women who had judged her that they had made a big mistake. Back at the hotel, Vivian now looks like a regular hotel guest. When Edward returns from work, he is still busy with business, but later they spend time together. They sit in the bathtub and talk. They laugh, share stories from their past, and talk about the hard things they've gone through. They start to feel close to each other, not just as two people spending time together, but as two people who care. The next day, Edward takes Vivian to a polo match. It's a social event where many rich and powerful people gather. While they are there, Vivian talks with David Morse, the grandson of Jim Morse, whose company Edward is trying to buy. David is kind and friendly to her. They have a nice conversation, and Vivian enjoys herself. Philip, Edward's lawyer, sees Vivian talking with David. He becomes suspicious and thinks Vivian might be trying to get business information. He tells Edward his concern, but Edward doesn't take it seriously. He tells Philip that Vivian is just someone he hired for the week, nothing more. Later, Philip now knows about Vivian's background. He is married but speaks to her alone in a rude and disrespectful way. He says ugly things and offers to pay her for her services. Vivian is shocked, hurt, and uncomfortable. Back at the hotel, Vivian is angry and sad. She tells Edward how hurt she feels. She feels like he made her look small by telling others what she does. She thought he respected her, but now she feels judged. Edward listens and apologizes. He admits he felt jealous when she was talking to David. He says that being with her is making him see things differently and feel things he hasn't felt before. The next day, Edward does something special. He comes home from work early and surprises Vivian with a trip. They take a private jet to San Francisco to watch the opera La Traviata. The opera is about a prostitute who falls in love with a wealthy man. Vivian is touched by the story. The music and the emotions make her feel something deep inside. During the evening, she turns to Edward and quietly says, "If I forget to tell you later, I had a wonderful time tonight." When they return to the hotel, Edward is tired and lies down on the bed. Vivian changes into her nightgown. Then, without thinking about rules or money, she leans over and kisses him gently on the lips, something she never does with clients. Later that night, thinking Edward is asleep, Vivian whispers something softly. She says that she loves him. As the week comes to an end, Edward offers Vivian a place to live, a beautiful condominium, and money every month so she wouldn't have to work. He says he would come visit her often. But instead of feeling loved, Vivian feels hurt. To her, it still feels like he's trying to turn their relationship into another business deal. She doesn't want to be kept like a possession. She wants something real, love, not a transaction. Vivian tells Edward about a dream she had when she was a child. She dreamed of a knight on a white horse who would come rescue her, not just from her life, but with love. Later, Edward meets with Jim Morse again to talk about the business deal. After spending the week with Vivian, Edward has started to think differently. He realizes he doesn't want to destroy Morse's company anymore. Instead, he decides to help Morse grow the business and keep it together. He wants to do something good, not just make money. Philip, Edward's lawyer, finds out about this and gets very angry. He had planned to make a lot of money from the deal, and now it's all falling apart. He goes to the Beverly Wilshire Hotel looking for Edward, but Edward isn't there. Instead, he finds Vivian alone in the hotel suite. Philip is drunk and furious. He blames Vivian for Edward's change. He hits her and tries to force himself on her. Just then, Edward walks in and sees what's happening. He rushes in, pulls Philip off of Vivian, and punches him. He tells Philip he's fired and never wants to see him again. After Edward finishes his business in Los Angeles, he comes back to the hotel to see Vivian. He asks her to spend one more night with him, not because he's paying her, but only if she really wants to. Vivian smiles sadly. She gently says no. She thanks him and tells him she believes he has lots of special gifts. Then she leaves. She chooses to walk away and start a new life on her own terms. Vivian returns to her apartment hotel and begins to pack her things. She has decided to move to San Francisco to start fresh. She has a new job waiting and plans to go back to school to earn her high school diploma. Before leaving, she gives some money to her roommate, Kit DeLuca, who is also a prostitute. Vivian tells Kit that she has a lot of potential. Kit, touched by Vivian's support and ready for change, decides to leave sex work and enroll in beauty school to build a better future. After packing, Vivian sits in her apartment and waits for the bus that will take her to her new life. Meanwhile, Edward is in his car on the way to the airport. He thinks about everything that has happened during the past week, how much Vivian has changed him and helped him see the world differently. He realizes that he doesn't want to go back to his old life. He tells the chauffeur to turn the car around and drive to Vivian's apartment instead. When they arrive, Edward does something bold. He climbs out of the sunroof of his white limousine, holding a bunch of flowers. Then, he goes up the fire escape to reach Vivian's window, just like the night in the fairy tale she told him about. Vivian hears him calling and opens the window. Edward, standing on the fire escape, asks her what happens after the knight climbs the tower and rescues the princess. Vivian looks at him, smiles, and replies, she rescues him right back. Then they kiss. They don't know what the future holds, but now they are ready to face it together. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.